Nevertheless, in Egypt, the number of young smokers is very high. And this is, in my opinion, something extremely dangerous. And this is we have to fight for.
Now, doctor, let me go back again to smoking shisha or the hubbly bubbly, because I'll tell you why. Because while you said the media is not encouraging people anymore to smoke, in fact, actually, even the tobacco packs that they're selling, they would have the warning signs that is on the pack and all that. But and there are areas that are non-smoking and smoking and public transportation and so forth. Yet, when you go out to most of the restaurants and the cafes today, there's always shisha all over the place, and it's very dangerous.
Some new ladies to be in, they started to smoke shisha, but we are starting now to see more tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is becoming a disease, and one of the causes of recurrence of tuberculosis is the nargila. The nargila is the shisha, because you may change the piece, the terminal piece of the nargila, but you don't change the whole tubing set of the nargila. And we are starting to see even in mid-high classes and high classes recurrence of tuberculosis.
What about second-hand smokers, which a lot of us are facing? I mean, you know,
you mean negative smokers?
Yeah, those who just sit and inhale smoke all around them.
It has a similar effect, and you remember the low case of a car driver, of a bus driver, and he had cancer lung, and he attributed his cancer to the smoking of the passengers, and he won his low case.
He was a second-hand smoker. He was
yes.
Well, are there, like with smoking, is there a risk group, at-risk group that is more likely to start up smoking? For instance, with certain drugs, they seem to be more. Is it the same with smoking as well?
No, there is no addiction in smoking, but there is a habit. But the problem is that smoking develops coronary heart disease.
Yes.
But late in life, he develops cancer, especially lung cancer. Not only lung cancer, bladder cancer, urinary bladder cancer, but the people usually they die from coronary heart disease before reaching the stage of cancer. This is as a cardiac surgeon, the age of patients we are operating upon now in Egypt is 20 years younger than the age of the patient undergoing coronary surgery in the West. Yeah, there is 20 years difference. The average age of our patients is about between 50 and 60. In the West, the average age between 70 and 80. We have another important disease in the diabetes. Above 40 years old, 16% of the Egyptians are diabetic.
Because is it related to smoking, or it's just?
No, it is related. It is genetic, and it is also related to the dietary habit. You know, most of the laborers and in the urban areas, they do not take breakfast. They eat late, and they eat a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of sugars. When you see the drivers, the truck drivers, they're always drinking tea and putting four spoon of sugars in the tea, etc. So they overexhaust the pancreas. You know, there are two types of diabetes: type 1, which is usually genetic, and it is related to the insulin deficiency. But the other issue, the second type, is type 2, is related to the food, and is related also to the body weight. You know, the insulin, to act, it needs receptors, and receptors are distributed all over the body, but then the number of these receptors is nearly stationary. So when the surface of the body increases, the number relatively becomes less, so the type 2 may appear. And the type 2 diabetes is related to the food and is related to the obesity, etc., and lack of exercise.
Yes, doctor, let's focus on the cardiac diseases. As you said, there's diabetes, there is bad.
Because diabetes, by time, if it's not controlled, it burns. I consider it burns the blood vessels,
yes,
either in peripheral blood vessels or the coronary heart.
Because heart diseases are very popular nowadays, and as you said, we see even younger people suffering from heart attacks and cardiac diseases because of the very unhealthy habits in life in all forms. Let's talk about the cases, or as in your field of specialty, how far is this a problem here, people with cardiac diseases, and in terms of medical treatment, how sufficient is it?
The panorama of the cardiac diseases in Egypt has greatly changed during the last 3 decades. In the 50s, 60s, the rheumatic heart disease was and the valvular heart disease were predominant. We had a lot of valvular patients. In the 70s, we had the coronary heart disease started to grow, and we have equal percentage of coronary heart disease and valvular heart disease. I'm speaking about adults because we have another sector which is the congenital heart disease. Now, the rheumatic heart diseases have decreased. Why? Even the use of antibiotics have decreased the rheumatic heart disease, and we have less patients with severe valvular heart disease. Still, we have young patients with valvular heart disease, but they are much less. Now, the most important, the most prominent cases are the coronary heart disease. Then we have the congenital heart disease, which are all through the ages are stable, but they are related to the number of the population, because we have a fixed number of congenital heart diseases among natalities. If natalities increase, the number of congenital heart diseases increase.
So what kind of surgeries are we talking about when it comes to heart disease? And are there less invasive surgeries that these smokers could, go through?
Now we have, still there is a place for medical treatment when you have a patient. A patient with coronary heart disease, we have what we call angina pectoris. The patient feels chest oppression or chest pain radiated to the shoulder, to the fingers, and but it's so vague that we have to know it well. The most important characteristic is that the patient says, I have pain, I stop, the pain disappears, or I take the sublingual nitrites, it disappears. This is an important issue. These patients, either we give them medical treatment after, or we send them to the medical cardiologist, invasive cardiologist. They do coronary angios. They dilate the coronary arteries by balloons. They put stents, etc. Or they send these patients to us to do coronary bypass surgery.
Now, doctor, it is a fact that here in Egypt we have professional doctors in various fields, but the health system and the health care system in Egypt remains very poor and insufficient, whether it's in terms of hygienity or professional and high-tech use of technology, or even hospitals, the system itself.
No.
How can we change that in the upcoming period in Egypt?
In Egypt, you have all facilities for good medical care. You have teams doing surgeries for all aspects, in cancer, in cardiac surgery, in neurosurgery. You can find the medical care everywhere and with very high level. The problem is the cost and how to finance the medical care. In fact, until now, we had a national health service in Egypt giving free medical care. But this free medical care, with the increase of the cost of medical disposal, medications, etc., became unable to cope with the increase of the number of the population. Unable. You remember in the 60s, hospitals were for free. You go and you get treatment for free. This was good when the medical care was not expensive, but now the medical care is expensive. So then in the 60s it started the Social Security Organization. The Social Security Organization, it gives a very good service. The people, they do not feel it unless they have major problems like major surgeries, etc. Now we are actually trying to improve the healthcare system by establishing a mixture between the National Health Service and the Social Security Service. The most important thing is to increase the sharing of the citizen for the Social Security. You know, until now, the share of each citizen is calculated on his basic salary. You understand? Suppose, for example, an Undersecretary of State, he's earning 7,000, 10,000 pounds. But when he gives his share for the Social Security, he gives on his basic salary, which is about 800.
Yes.
So the monthly share is very small.
Yes,
do I have time to explain this?
Unfortunately, I'm really sorry.
So it is important to start to give the share, to take the share of the Social Security from the real income of the person.
Yes.
And this will also influence his pension when he retires. The second thing is to decrease the cost of medical care by improving the local production of the disposable. We should encourage the local industries here, and so that we can offer employment, decrease the cost, and then export.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
This is Dr. Mohamed Nasr, Professor of Cardiac Surgery in the Imbaga National Heart Institute, and thank you so much for joining us. And now we're going to take a closer look at Enlighten News.